Good afternoon. Welcome to this week. And well, what a week it has been. Definitely a lot of red on the market during the week. And it got better, though. It did get better. We had a half decent end to the week. We got we got a new prime minister. We got an election call perhaps coming this week. We've got polls. Oh boy, there's a lot going on. That's for sure. It's good to be with you guys. It's absolutely great to be here on this Sunday afternoon. We'll we got the news, we got all of that other stuff, and I'm in the mood to answer some questions too. So we've got all of that today. It's going to be a fantastic show. All right, let's jump right on in. Jonathan is asking, "Am I late for an election?" No, no, I think you're exactly on time. Prairie says, "Good afternoon, Candace and community. Happy Sunday. Good to see you, Prairie. Good to see you. It's actually the weather. Weather's looking pretty good. It's gonna rain here. Probably by the time this stream ends, it is going to be, well, we're going to have to call the SPCA because it's going to be raining cats and dogs. It's going to be fun. King of Day is in the house with a hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Good to see you, King of Day. Always good to see you. Luke says, "Good afternoon, Candace." Hello, Luke. Hello, Rory. Hello, Luke again with a hi, everyone. Awesome. Awesome. It's great. It's great. It's great. We're going to talk a little bit about the polls. What the banana bread is going on? I was looking at a poll. And actually, you know what, guys? You know what? Give me a second. I'm going to find, where is this poll at? I got it. I got it here. I'm going to bring this over. Whoops. It really helps if I drag it to the right screen. All right, let's try this again. Dear banana bread. All right. We'll do it this way. All right. So 338 Canada, they published this new poll. Guys, look at this. This is craziness. Right now, they're calling, if there was an election held with the way people are feeling right now, look at this. The Liberals are ahead 150 seats to 149 conservative seats. So it would be the slimmest minority you could possibly have. But this is crazy. I mean, you go back in time, like even a month ago, it was a clear conservative majority. Not anymore. Now, oh boy, we're going to have a battle. And this is why we're expecting Mark Carney to call an election sooner than later. Because look at it. You got momentum. Here's your opportunity. Here is your opportunity to have an election. It's probably going to happen sooner than later, looking at numbers like this. And if they maintain that if they maintain the momentum through the election, we could have the Liberals continuing on. And I know there's a few of you right now going, no, but it's possible. But holy banana bread, what a change. It's going to be interesting. That's why I cannot wait. I think this is going to be a really interesting election cycle. Doesn't matter who wins. It's going to be a very interesting trip to the winner's circle. All right. Oh boy. We have funny books in the house, and we also got Stan Gray. And Bleak 784 is in the house. Lisa's in with a good day, everyone. Terry says, "Yeah, another great show. Sock it to me, Candy." Oh boy, not many people get to live after they call me Candy. But that's, yeah. Anyway, it's one of those nicknames that I've just never liked. I've never liked. But for you, Terry, I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you. Max says, hi, all. Hope all are having a great weekend. And Rory's saying people really have short memories. And that's, of course, in reference to this poll. Yeah, but you got to realize a lot of the Canadian anger at the Liberals wasn't so much at the Liberals as it was at Justin Trudeau. And with Justin Trudeau out of the way, people are, they're not as mad. They're not as mad. And Carney does have, he's got that whole finance background, and he's using the right messaging. But here's the thing. He has some weaknesses that'll definitely be on front and center when it comes to an election. One of his biggest weaknesses going into this election is that, and you may say it's a strength too, but it's that he's not a politician. He's never held office before. So going in, he's not used to an aggressive press coming at him and hitting him. His press relationship has been when he's had roles like head of the Bank of Canada. They get lobbed pretty easy questions. So he has not had hard-hitting press, and we'll see if he can handle it. We're going to see if he can handle it. I think it might be a little bit of a problem for him. All right. Let's get back to the big screen again. Lisa says, I don't believe that poll. Remember the U.S. election and how the polls were saying how close it was and that Kamala could win? Same thing. This is just to sway the undecided voter. This is one poll. Now, the poll that I use, and I will be I'll bring that up a little bit later in the show, is I do like to use the CBC one. And I'll tell you why. And there's going to be people grumbling saying, CBC, no, they're not unbiased. But their poll tracker is basically an average across all the polls. So I love averages. You give me an average across all the polls, I'm there for it. So I do like it. And I will tell you, their poll does not have the Liberals ahead by a little bit. So we'll look at that a little bit later when we get into that in the news, because obviously that's going to be one of our stories. Larry says it's looking like Tesla is going to do another layoff. Ah, boy. Yeah, that's not surprising. I've heard so many interesting stories out of the States. I've heard people just driving a Tesla. People have been getting things thrown at their car and everything because a lot of people are angry at Elon and his Doge committee as they're slicing and dicing their way through the U.S. government. I've also heard of people taking the Tesla logo off of their cars and trying to put other logos over top, like fake ones, just so that people will think that they're not driving a Tesla. And of course, I've heard of the people who are, have decided no longer to own a Tesla one way or another. So yeah, Tesla's taking a lot of heat, definitely a lot of heat. So that does not surprise me. Lisa says, somehow this poll must be tied to the Liberals and or mainstream media, a left-wing bias. And I don't know. 338, they're right now the only ones showing this, and this is the one that the press has been jumping on. So yeah, this could very well be left-leaning bias. It could be. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. So I will give you that, absolutely. Like I said, the other poll that we're going to look at, the only reason I brought this up is that the poll tracker that I use has not updated with any, they're basically, it's 4 days old information. So we'll see how we're going to see how it all unwraps. And once we do have the updated average one, then it will be really interesting to see what that reflection is going to look like. Muggsy is in the house. Awesome. Good to see you, Muggsy. All right. Jordan is in the house as well, saying, hello there, Candace and chat fam. Happy Sunday fun day. Yeah, it's a pretty good day. I think right now it's about 15 degrees Celsius here. And as I said, I'm waiting for some rain, but a lot of the snow A lot of the snow has melted. It's like we had really big snowbanks just a week ago, and they're already looking much better. Lisa says, let's see, his finance background is one of the reasons he should not be voted for. Okay, fair enough. Terry says, yikes, it won't ever happen again. Apologies, sincerely. No worries, no worries. Luke says, Carney wife is an environmentalist, not good for energy infrastructure project, in my opinion. Yeah, and I don't actually know a lot about his family. That's one of those things. Larry says, the entire factory, besides people maintaining everything, are working 8 hours or less. Used to be 12-hour shifts, went from Monday to Friday to Monday to Thursday, last 4 weeks. Most days have been 6 a.m. to 11 and then 6 p.m. to 11. Interesting. Interesting. Now, guys, in case you guys missed, I think it was on, I think when we did that one day where I did that 7-hour live stream from open to close. We learned that day that Larry used to work for Tesla. So Larry's got a lot of the inside scoop still. Let's see. Jordan says, so long as we don't get the storms that clobbered the USA the past 2 days. Yeah, although I will tell you, I was looking at the spring forecast, and the way the jet stream is positioned for the spring, we're going to get a lot of active weather moving up through Ontario, through southern Ontario, and well, up here in Ottawa, we'll get them there as well. And Larry says, instead of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., then 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Muggsy says, I'm in Northern Ontario. Today, we have so much rain that flooding has begun for many homes. Yeah, that's one of the dangers this time of year, because a lot of places, the ground is still frozen. So when the ground's frozen, it's not very good at soaking up rain. So that rain has nowhere to go but, well, maybe your basement or the streets, all of those things. Yikes. Maggie says, it's cold in Calgary, light snow. Oh no, oh no. See, wasn't it just last week you guys had a big Chinook? So now it's back to cold again. Yikes. This is turning back into the Cross Canada checkup, guys. Vic says, a little late, but still snagged the like button. Yeah, guys, I'm going to have a coffee. If you guys haven't hit that like button yet, now's the time. Let's get this pushed out, as we're pretty early into the stream. Oh gosh, that's so good. Larry says 25 out of 36 of the investors work there, and most are supervisors and managers. Now one's a board advisor. Nice. All right, guys, let's jump on to that first news story of the day. So we had the Bank of Canada interest rate decision that came out this week, and without any surprise, there was a cut of 25 basis points, taking us down to 2.75% for the overnight rate. Now, this is pretty interesting. This is the 7th straight cut in a row. And what's really interesting about this one is they did acknowledge that this cut was not even about inflation, but rather it was more of a safeguard against some of the economic shockwaves that they're expecting because of the trade war. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now, the Bank of Canada, they've been doing some surveying as well, and they have found that consumers and businesses are planning to spend less. And another survey as well was saying that some of the export-oriented companies, and this makes sense because of the tariffs, of course, they are already beginning to lay off workers. So we have that. It's going to impact our GDP. It's going to impact the economy overall. It'll be very interesting to see. The next set of job numbers. I have a feeling. I have a really strong feeling we are going to see unemployment tick up next time around. I think it's a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But oh boy, what can we do? Lisa says, I wish they would stop cutting the interest rates. GICs are going to be useless. Yeah, they are. They definitely keep cutting those rates. I don't know how much further. Like, I really like this. I think if the tariffs hadn't come along, this would have been a pause at this point. So I don't think we're going to come down much lower. Like, we might see a couple more 25 basis points one through the year, only to try to sort of cut off some of the damage that's going to happen. So for now, I think the next one will. I thought this one was going to be a pause, so I do think the next one will be a pause, and hopefully, and this is kind of with the market. What I'm kind of thinking right now is that I am hoping that when we get that between now and April 2nd, we can have a little bit of calmness. Maybe put together a few green days, maybe have a little bit less panic. But of course, April 2nd, that is those reciprocal tariffs. So when the reciprocal tariffs hit on April 2nd, we're going to have an interesting day for sure. So I'm hoping we have something. I hope we have just some calmness. Let's have some calmness, because April could be really interesting when it starts off. But we have to see. Now, of course, hoping for calmness in a world where Trump wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and he's deciding, maybe I should throw some more tariffs at Canada. Anything can happen, but at least the end of the week we had calmness, and let's see how this week goes. I might be an idiot. I might be an absolute idiot thinking there's even a chance that we could have some calmness in this current environment, but I'm going to be hopeful. I'll be hopeful. All right. And Tom says, yep, sub pump hasn't shut off. Oh, yes. That's never good. It almost makes you want to, if you ever build a house, build it up on a hill. Build it up on a hill. Get someplace where you don't have to worry about the water. My family, we used to have this house that was sitting in an area of land where we were mostly surrounded by a lot of bogs. So as a result, it didn't take much. Even light rain and the sub pump would be working like crazy down in the basement. We never had the basement never flooded, but I'll tell you, we had some close calls. Let's see. Tom says, had half an inch of water on the floor, had to move a bunch of stuff. Still listening. Yeah, there we go. Oh, Tom. Eek. Don't let it get to an inch. Eek. Yeah, that's not great. Rory says, I'm glad I locked in 5% in the last 2 years. And Mary's in the house with a happy Sunday. So everybody, of course, Mary is in charge of that like button. Be sure to hit the like button. I already had my little sip of coffee a couple moments ago when Vic was bringing it up. But Vic is kind of like Mary's sub-lieutenant when it comes to the like button. So yeah, definitely hit the good old like button for sure. All right, let's get to our next news story here. And I just need there we go. There we go. Had to get it over. All right. So we already talked a little bit about polls. We're going to talk obviously again about the polls. But overall, of course, Friday, as you guys know, Mark Carney became our actually 24th prime minister. And here's an interesting thing. If we get the snap election right away and the Conservatives win, as most people seem to think, Mark Carney could very well go down as having the shortest time in office as prime minister. So there's a record on the line here for him. And it's interesting. I think he's the first prime minister we've ever had who has not actually been elected in any way, shape, or form. So that's interesting. And of course, those of you who don't know who he is, he did head the Bank of Canada from 2008 to 2013. And he also headed the Bank of England from 2013 to 2020. And he has been on and off. He's been an advisor. He helped us a little bit. He sort of advised the Trudeau government a bit during the COVID-19 strategy and with some of the recent economic stuff. I don't know the full extent of how much. This is kind of one of those things that, you could offer Trudeau advice, but he may not have taken it. So we're not sure. We're not sure on that, but we'll find out. Now, he is expected, of course, to call that snap election definitely before March 24th. That's when Parliament returns. And some of us are thinking as early as Monday. So that would be interesting. Now, the CBC poll tracker. I mentioned I was going to mention this one. So the CBC poll tracker has, it takes an average of all of the major polls, so it's got some left-leaning polls, some right-leaning polls. So when you average it all out, it should be closer. It should be closer to what's really going on, the big picture. Now, this one, I will say, was 4 days ago. So, well, technically 5 days ago. It was 4 days ago yesterday. So this one's, it's about 5 days old. It does show the Conservatives coming in at a 39.8%, Liberals at 31.9%. So when that translates to seats, it does translate into a Conservative minority with them at 168 seats. You need 172 for a majority. It has the Liberals coming in at 132 seats. The NDP coming in at 13, the Bloc Québécois with 28, and the Green Party with 2. So there's still, and keep in mind, there's a lot of standard deviations on this. And as a few of you mentioned, sometimes polls can be absolutely wrong. So it does happen. There was a lot, like during the US election, especially, there were polls that were absolutely saying the opposite. And as we know, these polls that nobody gave any credence to that showed Trump winning, they turned out to be the ones that were accurate that time around. So take a poll with a grain of salt for sure. But the movement and the direction that polls move, it does give you a good idea of the momentum. I don't put a lot of credence in the answers and what they're saying, but I do put a lot more credence in the movement. If you see, for example, if the same poll is tracking and showing Conservatives going up or going down, or the Liberals going up or going down, it gives you a general idea of the overall momentum. And I do believe in the momentum for sure. Like, I think right now the Liberals have it. The Conservatives need to get it back. And Poilievre has begun to change his messaging into more of a Trump thing. And that's what you need to do. Look at, and you just look at the last election here in Ontario. Doug Ford ran that election on a me versus, as in Doug versus Donald Trump type election. And it resonated. It's what's on everybody's mind. It resonated. It got him another majority. So, and the Liberals are following that. The Liberals are following that. The Conservatives got to get on that boat too. If they do, and Poilievre is able to demonstrate that, he's the tough guy that's gonna fight for Canada against Trump, that will get them back in favor for sure. All right, Luke says, with that rate cut, I'm starting to check on REITs. Yeah. It could be very interesting. REITs and utilities. Utilities have been doing much better than REITs when it comes to the rate cuts this time around. Traditionally, REITs and utilities both do really well. So we're still lagging on the REITs, but I'm hoping we see something. I'm hoping we see some movement to the upside for sure. Rory likes the utilities. Absolutely. The utilities are fantastic. I do love utilities for sure. And I added XUT. That's the iShares, I think it's Capped Utility Index. I added that to the challenge. So you'll see that in the next, not the next video, but the first video of the month. Jordan says, so I'm looking at the radar. It looks like Ottawa is going to get slammed with a nasty storm this evening. Worst of it around 6 p.m. Please, you and Jill, be careful. Yes, around 6 p.m. We're supposed to have between 2 and 4 millimeters of rain at that point in time, just in the first hour. So yeah, it is going to, it's going to rain a little bit. It's going to rain a little bit. So that's like roughly right around the end of the stream, somewhere's in that vicinity. So Kim Campbell, yes. Yes, good old Kim Campbell. She didn't have long. She was not. Um, yeah, her and I think Paul Martin also had really short stints in their prime minister role. Um, let's see. Rory says, "Oh wow, what's going on in Ontario?" I'll check Environment Canada. And I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's going to be that stormy, but I know it's going to be raining like all banana bread. It's just going to be coming down. Mark Carnage. There we go. Flash freeze warnings. What the heck is that? I don't think that's for here. Like right now, it's warm outside. It's like about 15 degrees. So we're safe from the flash freeze, but maybe northern Ontario. Let's see. Whoops, here we go. Jordan says, yes, there's a highly organized storm system, cold front moving east across Ontario and the northeastern states. It was produced tornado after tornado yesterday in the southern states. Well, let's hope. Let's hope we don't get any tornadoes or deroshes. Deroshes. We had like one of the longest breaks I've had. I've had two breaks technically from on the stream, not the stream, but on the channel. One of them was because we had a deroche one day. It was actually a Sunday. I was getting ready to do this week. I was actually getting ready for the show, and I had come upstairs, and it was raining, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, I was looking out the window. The rain just went sideways, and between the rain and the wind, for about 5 seconds, all I could see was a wall of white, and then it was gone. And I'm like, what the heck? And I look out the window, and there's trees down everywhere. The neighbors across the street, they had a big long fence. The fence totaled. I went outside, and it was just carnage with the trees down. One of the neighbors, actually, a tree went into their house. So that was a deroche, and I'm like, yeah, let's not do that again. And plus, there was no power for quite literally. We were out without power for a couple of days, and then the internet. It took about 5 days before I was able to even get back online. So that was not fun. That was not fun. But the fact it happened so fast was just absolutely crazy. So let's hope nothing like that happens again. Because I'll tell, and that deroche, that wind, that big wave of wind that came through. The reason we lost power for a few days, and some areas lost power for a lot longer than a few days, is the big power lines. They actually took those power lines and twisted them and actually bent them, and they did things to those power lines you could not believe wind could do. But yeah, pretty intense. And I have not seen this. I have not had a chance. Oh boy. Let's see. Candace, do you update Propel Holdings stock? I haven't done Propel Holdings in a while, but they are overdue. That is a stock that I do want to do a deep dive on again. But yeah, I absolutely. It's on my list. It's on my list. Yeah, no, exactly. All right. Zozo says Hudson Bay connected with Riocan. Careful on this one. Oh yes. So Hudson's Bay. Well, it looks like they're going to be liquidating. It's not looking good for them. So, yeah. Now Riocan has a lot of. They have quite a basket. So one company in their basket going under. I still think they'll be fine, but yeah, it could certainly hinder them a little bit. Michael says, hello, Candace. I enjoyed your stock analysis of Pemina and was wondering if you think it might dip as a result of the uncertainty, as I would prefer buying some on a dip. Here's the thing. Because of, well, the fact that the U.S. does need our oil, and don't listen to Trump when he says we don't need Canadian oil. Yes, you do. You don't have the capacity to they don't have the capacity to process the light crude that they're pumping. So they sell that, and then they process the heavy crude that they get from Canada. So they need us. They need our oil. That's the reason that there's only a 10% tariff on oil, on energy, and overall. So I don't think we're going to see a lot more tariff in that area. Where we would run into some problems is if it got bad with all of the other tariffs that Canada decided to do the nuclear option and completely cut off oil to the United States. That would definitely hurt, but I can't see us getting there. Number one, I mean, that would be crippling for Alberta. And it's also not an easy task just because you'd have to shut things down because we got no place to store all that oil. So it would be that would be a worst case scenario. I don't think that's going to happen though. You know, I know Doug Ford likes to mention it, but I really don't think that'll happen. Lisa says, I'm down by Windsor and we were supposed to get 20 to 40 millimeters. 20 to 40 millimeters. Holy banana bread. And we barely got anything, a few sprinkles. That sometimes happens. That'll often happen. Because you have to realize, and this is one of the things that sometimes people don't look at. Like I will see my mom, she'll look at the forecast in the weather and it will call for showers. She's like, oh, okay, it's going to have showers. But she never looks at the percentage. So with a weather forecast, it'll say, okay, there's a, you know, it might say 40% chance of showers. Well, then that means that more than likely you're probably not going to get any showers. Some places might, but some places may not. So people don't look at the probabilities. They just look at what it shows. They say, oh, showers today. Okay, yeah, there's going to be showers. Not necessarily. You have to look at that percentage. If you got something where it's like 100%, and then it's, you know, get like 100% snow or 100% rain, and then you don't get rain, well, yeah, then the weather person's absolutely wrong in that case. But it is percentages. And a lot of people don't look at those percentages. I do. I look at those percentages because I like to play percentages. Because I will, for example, if I'm going to go out and it says showers on Monday. So if I was going to go out tomorrow and it said showers on Monday, I'll look at the percentage. And let's say it said 30%. I'm probably not bringing my umbrella at 30% because I'm like, I got a pretty good chance I'm not going to run into showers. But if it's above 50, like if it's 75 or 90% chance of showers, you can be sure my umbrella is coming with me because I'm probably going to run into it. And Suzo saying Hudson's Bay plans to immediate liquidate. Yeah, that's crazy. And I guess that means that the Zellers inside of them is now gone. So it's sad to see. I mean the Hudson's Bay was, you know, they were pretty much a Canadian tradition. I mean, I know growing up, Hudson Bay, that's where we went to get school clothes every year. Yeah, I love the Bay, but you know, what can we do? What can you do? Jordan says, let's see, the winds are going to be out of hand. My friend in New York is getting 50-mile-per-hour winds with gusts to 70. Yikes. That's an interesting thing. Vic wants to know, was Carney well regarded in Britain? It depends on who. It's funny. And this is kind of one of those interesting things. It really depends on who you ask. If you ask somebody on the right, they'll say, absolutely not. He destroyed Britain. And people on the right will give you or on the left will give you the exact opposite. So I'm gonna hold off on that because I would like to dig into that a little bit more. I haven't really had the time to go into his background a lot to sort of be able to give a non-biased answer. And that's, you know, I'm not gonna. And you guys will notice this about me. I will try my best to not give a standard left or right answer on anything. I try to find I try to navigate where it is, somewhere's in the middle, find out what the truth is the best that I can. So in this case, I don't know. I honestly don't know how he was regarded in Britain. So I will find out, though. I will find out. Ask me next week, Vic. I will know. Let's see. Vic says he was a superstar when he left Canada. Yeah, now with Canada, and this is kind of interesting. He, of course, during the housing crisis, he was head of the Bank of Canada. So obviously his role was, lower rates, for example, to stimulate the economy, things like that. Now, it's interesting. He, a lot of people give him a lot of credit for that, and I know that I think it was, uh, and I know the conservatives have been like, well, he really wasn't. He really wasn't as significant as he makes himself say. And I think Stephen Harper came out and said that the other day as well. But once again, time is going to tell, and we're going to see, like, if let's say that poll that we looked at the beginning of the show, that crazy poll. Those of you who haven't seen that poll, I'll pull that up right here. So this crazy poll from 338 Canada is showing the Liberals at 150 seats, the Conservatives at 149. It's a crazy poll. It might be left-leaning. We've already determined that, so we're not sure if it is or not, but it could be. Well, if he does get into power, even as a minority, it's going to be interesting. He's going to need to do a really good job, or he'll get voted out pretty fast, and we'll end up having a double election. This is one of the things that I don't want to see, personally. I do not want to see a minority government this time around. I know I typically am a fan of minority governments, but I want a government that comes in that has a mandate to outlast Trump, because I think that will help give them a little bit more credence when it comes to dealing with Trump. And that's what I want to see. So I do want to see a majority government, but right now it's not looking the best. It's not looking the best at this moment, but keep in mind, we have a full election cycle to go through, and anything can change. And we'll see, especially if the Conservatives get back on the right targeting, they could very well get back into majority territory. But they got to do that. They have to do that if they want to. Otherwise, we're looking at a minority government, either, probably Conservative, but there's that off shot. There's that off chance that the Liberals could sneak in. Let's see. Vic says, HBC like Sears. Hey, what about my reward points? I know. It's like none of us, we've all been kicked out of Club Z. What can I say? Rory says, well, if the Libs win another term, at least we won't have the problem child. Yes, that is true. That is true. And I have a feeling some prominent Liberals, even if they got back in for a minority, like Chrystia Freeland, I don't think she's going to win her seat. Jagmeet right now, I don't think it looks like he's going to win his seat. So it's going to be very interesting. Let's see. Bismarcky says, if Hudson Bay goes bankrupt, that is a lot of square footage to fill. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lisa says, I miss Zellers. Yeah, Zellers was fun. Amanda says, I believe that when says a percentage, that means that percentage of the area will get the rain. No, it's basically, it's not even so much that percentage of the area. I'm pretty sure that it's the chance. It's the actual chance that you could see. So technically it is the same thing if you think about it. So if it means that where you are in that zone, you have that percentage chance of getting it. So technically the math pretty much works out the same, I think, with both of those. Let's see. Prairie says, Rory may not have the problem child, but we end up with the child's mentor. But it's here's one of those things. A lot of people have said that Carney, has been advising Trudeau. Oh boy. But how Trudeau is one of these people, like, I've noticed that Trudeau pretty much, no matter how much advice you give him, he just doesn't take it. So it's hard to say exactly how much of Carney's advice even got through to him. So just something to sort of keep in mind. All right. Jordan says, the percentage chance does not describe the chance of rain, but rather the percentage of the viewer area or listening area, about 100 kilometers, that will get the rain. So a 30% chance means 30% of the area will get rain. Right. But keep in mind, if 30% of the area gets rain, then, you're still in a situation where you probably have a 30% chance of getting rain. You see what I mean, Jordan? It's the same thing. Like, it works the same both directions. it's it's the same thing. It's still the same thing. All right. Rory says, let's see, I know that, and it's a depressing thought. Wayne says, I was in Ottawa in September 2018. Tornadoes and water spouts on the river. Power was out for over 3 days. All restaurants closed downtown. Frozen pizza for dinner. Lots of damage in Gatineau. Yeah. And we do get, I mean, it's funny. If we, if we get a tornado warning and the sirens are going off on the phone, I swear I'm going to put my phone in the window and set it up to live, not to live stream, but just to record so that it goes on to StreamYard. So that way there, if a tornado whips through my town while I'm huddled in the basement trying to be safe, maybe I'll catch it. Maybe I'll catch it on film. So that's a goal. I don't know why, but just because I think it would be kind of cool. Paul says, let's see, after 10 years of liberals, I can't believe people want another 4 years of Carney the Clown show. Well, and this is the thing, we're coming towards the beginning of an election cycle. Oh, and I'll tell you, I actually have some more proof that we're going to get an election call this week. Yesterday on one of the streaming services, I got a Liberal commercial. That was an attack ad against Pierre Poilievre, but it's like, oh boy, yep, the election's coming. Here are the commercials, and that's exactly what happened with the election in Ontario. Doug Ford started running his commercials before he actually called the election, and the Liberals have started running commercials. So it's coming. It's coming. There's no doubt about it. Prairie says, I'm looking forward to election debates. Pierre Poilievre will out-debate Carney every day of the week and twice on Sunday. 100% agree. 100% agree. Pierre Poilievre is a good debater. I don't think Carney has a lot of debating experience as far as I know. So, yeah, that could be another area where Carney might struggle a bit. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Rory says, one thing for sure, Carney doesn't know how to talk. And, and I know Quebec is not super happy with his French either, because apparently his French is not great. So there is that as well. So the libs are already smearing. It's an election. It's going to happen. And this is going to go both ways. I mean, I have a feeling it's kind of interesting. I remember the olden days, and we're not talking that far back, when our election cycles were not so smeary. But the last couple of elections, I've noticed that we're starting to move a lot more towards the attack type, sort of the American style ads, the attack ads you'd see in the US. They're coming, and I have a feeling that this will probably be an election where there's going to be a lot of it. I think there will be a ton of it. What can I say? Rory, Northern Perspective affirms an election is coming. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. I think anybody who covers politics in any way, shape, or form knows there's a 100% certainty of an election coming. And I would be, quite literally, if we did not have a call before the end of this coming week, I would be absolutely shocked. And I'll even go as far as to say, I think election day, I'm thinking I believe, and I'm going to pull up the calendar here, but I'm thinking around towards the end of April, and I would say, I'm going to say the 28th of April. So the last Monday on April will probably be an election. So 1 week after Easter, we'll be going to the polls. Now, I'm going to call that. I'm going to call the 28th. If it's not the 28th, it'll be May 5th. But I imagine it's going to either be April 28th or May 5th. But I'm calling April 28th now, because with this momentum, the Liberals are going to want to do it sooner than later. So I think even 1 week difference, I'm calling April 28th. So we'll see. We'll see. Prairie says candidates are opening their offices. Let's see, under the big top. There we go. I think the voter turnout is going to be better than it's been in a long time. Yeah, absolutely. I'm probably going to vote for mail now that I know how easy it is. Quite literally, I just go on a website, click on a few things. I think I upload my ID, and they send it to me in the mail. And I just go across the street and throw it in the mailbox. I'm gonna do that. I'm absolutely gonna vote by mail this time around. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. All right, let's get to our next news article, and this is just our trade war front lines. What's been going on? So we did have a big meeting down in the United States this week. So we had Doug Ford, Dominic LeBlanc, Francois Philippe Champagne, the industry minister, and Kirsten Hillman, who's Canada's ambassador to the U.S. So they all headed to Washington to meet with Howard Lutnick, basically to discuss trade and the tariffs, of course. Now, we don't know exactly what happened in the meeting, other than that Doug Ford came out afterwards and said that he felt it was very constructive and that Canada now has a better idea of where the U.S. stands on the whole thing. Now, all of our current tariffs are still in place, but the overall conflict, the temperature of the conflict seems to have come down, and which was great because we had a really good green day on Friday as well. Now, of course, when it comes to tariffs, we did have new tariffs that were enacted this week. So we had the steel and aluminum tariffs, 25%. Now, that's not a Canada tariff. It's everybody in the world except for the U.S. tariff. So that was on everybody. So that obviously that is us as well. Now, we did hit back with some counter tariffs on $29.8 billion worth of U.S. steel and aluminum imports. And also some other stuff like sports equipment and computers, of all things. So I don't know if that would include your iPhone, but if you need a new iPhone or a Samsung, you might have a tariff on that. You might have a tariff. We'll have to see how this all works out. Now, this, of course, is in addition to the $30 billion worth of U.S. goods that we hit earlier in the month. And that is set to expand to another $125 billion worth of goods in April. That'll, of course, come after those reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd. Now, interestingly enough, the European Union, they have decided to retaliate as well with tariffs. So they announced $40 billion worth of U.S. goods, from motorcycles to bourbon. So your Harley Davidsons are there's a tariff on them now as well. The tariffs are going to come in two batches. So with the UK, those ones are going to start April 1st and then expand on April 13th. So, oh boy, what can we say? What can we say? The tariffs. I don't see. That's the thing. I don't really see an easy way out for Donald on this, because we all know he has to have a win if he wants to get out, and I don't see that win coming. I just don't see it. So these could be going on for a while. They could absolutely going on for a while. It's going to impact, of course, our economy for sure. And as you know, we've all been talking about a recession, and that's definitely on the cards for later this year. And the U.S. is hurting their own economy too, and I will not be surprised to see them also entering a recession. Terry says Hudson's Bay failure is an Upper Canada issue. Just don't close down my local guys, Frenchie's Discount Emporium in New Brunswick. There we go. The Frenchies. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I think Frenchie. I don't know if Frenchie's is in the rest of the country, but I know it's big in the Maritimes. It's big in the Maritimes. It's basically a chain of used clothes stores. You can get some good stuff in there. Rory says, let's see, Danielle Smith was in Houston as well. Yeah, absolutely. All right. You are quite impressive. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. You know what? I think it's time to get to our next news story. And we got some rental news. So, new reports are coming out. And guess what, guys? Rents are actually dropping in Canada. So the average asking rents across the country that dropped to the lowest level since July of 2023, and this is the fifth consecutive month of rent declines in Canada. So currently, the average rent in Canada is $2,088. That is a 4.8% annual decline. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Um, Part of the reason for this, of course, is that apartment completion, so new apartments being built, they're currently running at record highs, while at the same time, population growth has slowed because we did put a clamp on immigration, and that's certainly helping. And there's also, of course, the economy and the heightened risks due to the trade war. So rents are expected to continue to keep dropping in the near term as these trends are, well, they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. So a few interesting cities that had some low drops. So Calgary, the average rent in Calgary dropped by 7%, so down to 1,916. Toronto saw a 6.7% drop. Vancouver, no, they saw a 4.8%. I think I'm back. I think I'm back. The internet went out for a quick second, guys. But I am back. I do not know. I do not know what happened. Hopefully you guys can see me, but it looks like I'm back. It looks like I'm back. Holy banana bread. I was like, what's going on? But I do think I'm back. I think I am back. We were talking about rents. So we were talking about the rents. Give me 1 second here. I don't know where I lost the internet, but we were talking about different cities. So Calgary, these are the three cities that have the lowest drops. So Calgary rents dropped by 7%, taking the average rent to 1916. Toronto had a 6.7% drop, and Vancouver had a 4.8% drop. Now, we have had some cities that had increases in their rents. So Quebec City, the average rent in Quebec City actually went up by 12.3%. Oakville, Ontario saw a 12.1% rise. And I don't know if Chad is here, but Saskatoon saw a 10.3% average rent increase. So pretty big. When it comes to provinces, Alberta actually saw an overall 1.4% rise. Nova Scotia, a 1.2% rise. Saskatchewan, a 5.2% rise. And Manitoba, a 3.4% rise. Okay. Whew. Well, that was fun. That was fun. All right. Let's see here. This is where I was. Michael says, hello, Candace. Here in Quebec, our rental board has allowed a 6% increase. So not certain rents are increasing across all of Canada. Yeah, no, and I think that's part of it too. I mean, the rents in Quebec has been one of the better provinces when it comes to rent prices. So Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then an uh-oh from Jonathan. Yeah, I don't know what happened. We don't have a storm here yet, although the sky is kind of gray. Wayne says Trump threatens 200% tariff on European wine. He was upset that the Europeans would apply tariffs against his empire. Yes. Yeah, and I have heard that 200% on like champagne and just general rate across the board. It's crazy. Now that to me, that's an overreaction. Obviously, 200% to strike back against and I don't know what the percentage works out to on like the motorbikes and things like that, but what can I say? Yeah, I am back. I am back. There we go. Yes, we're all caught up. We're all caught up. I was just like, what's going on? We tempted luck by talking about that DeRoche. That's what it is, and then the stormy weather. So I'm hoping this is not I'm hoping the power stays all night. I certainly don't want a night without power. That's for sure. Oh boy. All right. Let's I'm going to get us through the news pretty quickly here because just in case something happens. All right. So, we got ourselves a story about airlines. So Delta, American, and United Airlines, those are the top 3 US airlines. They've all issued some warnings this week about lower profits and or decreased demand. So basically, this is all to do with Canada. So the United Airlines, they stated that they're experiencing a big drop in Canadian traffic, and as a result, they are looking at cutting many of their Canadian flight capacities. So here's an interesting idea, just to give you an idea of how much this will impact the U.S. Canadians last year, they made 20 million trips on U.S. airlines, and even a small shift in travel behavior could hurt the U.S. So right now, we basically pump about $20.5 billion into the U.S. economy just from air flights. So they're predicting that a 10% loss of Canadian travelers would cause a $2.1 billion hit to the U.S. economy. Now, they're saying 10%. According to Flight Centre Canada, travel bookings to the U.S. have already fallen by not 10%, guys, 40%. So Air Canada has already, on this side of the border, Air Canada has already taken early measures to account for that travel shift. So they're reducing a lot of their flight capacities to Florida, Las Vegas, and Arizona. And they're also, of course, adding WestJet as well. Adding more internal domestic flights because that's where the demand is moving. So what can we say? Oh boy. Yeah. We kind of knew this was coming. It is what it is, but yeah, fly local. What would really be good, guys? I don't think this will happen. Is if we could get, if you want to promote local flight this year, let's lower some of our domestic prices. That's what I'd like to see, but I don't. We'll see it. Cowboy is in the house with a hello, everyone. Rory says so many better places to go outside the U.S. Italy, Switzerland, maybe. Yes, and I saw a commercial for Ireland. So and when I saw that, I'm like, ooh, this is smart. If you've got some European, vacation destinations, now's the time to start hitting your commercials into Canada, because people might be, people who don't want to travel in Canada might be saying, all right, well, I'm not going to the States. Let's find some other place. So yeah, that could be a beautiful thing. And let's all go to Ireland this year, folks. Bismarck, he says, it's only a 90-minute drive from Toronto to Buffalo's airport. That's not a long drive. I actually knew, somebody who once, they were planning a trip across the country, and they lived southern Nova Scotia, and they were just going to take the ferry across to Yarmouth, get to the airport, from Yarmouth over into Maine, get to an airport in Maine, and then fly across the country that way using American Airlines and such, because it was actually cheaper. So we really need to bring airline prices down in Canada for sure. Cowboy says, let's see, Mark's carnage trying to silence you. Maybe, I don't know. It's like, what can I say? Rory saying, yes, Ireland, Scotland. There we go. Or Moose Jaw. There you go. You got 3 options, guys. Ireland, Scotland, or Moose Jaw. There we go. All 3, I think, fantastic destinations for sure. Gotta love it for sure. All right, we're almost through the news. So yeah, we were talking a little bit about Whitecap Resources last week, and they're merging with Varen. So that is one of these interesting things. So Varen is actually, they used to be called Crescent Point Energy, and I was just like, I remember Crescent Point Energy. So but they're merging. It's a $15 billion deal, basically to create a major Canadian shale player that will, of course, stand stronger against political and market upheaval if they were, than if they had tried to do it alone. Now, this is going to make Whitecap the 7th largest oil producer by production in Canada. So that's not too shabby. The Varen shareholders, they're getting 1.05 shares of Whitecap for each of their shares that they currently have. So we know about the remuneration. Now, the new combined firm, it's going to be led by Whitecap's existing management team under the Whitecap name. So they're keeping the Whitecap name, getting rid of Varen. The deal is expected to close before May 30th, and it does still need shareholder, court, and regulatory approval. But I like this. I think this is a good thing for Whitecap. And those of you who've been looking at Whitecap thinking now might be a time to get in there, that may be true. That may be true. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Holland banana bread. No, Holland, Manitoba. There we go. Veracap Corp. New name. I kind of like the Whitecap. I to me that makes sense. I like Whitecap. I think it's a strong name. So, yeah, I think that's a good way to go. I think that's a good way to go for sure. And we got another nuclear story. Seems like every other week we have a nuclear story, but Amazon and Google, they have signed a pledge to support the goal of at least tripling the world's nuclear energy capacity by 2050. So this pledge, it is expected to gain more support in the coming months from industries, including maritime aviation and oil and gas. And this is according to the World Nuclear Association. So the WNA, now they are the group, they began the pledge, and they're basically bringing people on board. So basically, they currently have a vow from over 30 countries, which have also aimed to triple their nuclear capacity by 2050, which is really cool. So right now, currently nuclear energy, nuclear energy is as green as you can go. They generate about 9% of the world's electricity. And we currently have about 439 power reactors, which is kind of cool. Now, what's really interesting is that nuclear power, as we know, and this is why Google and Amazon are involved, basically, AI and data centers require a lot of energy, and that is going to be the way to get that energy. So they're looking at it as a huge investment for this because big tech, they're getting on board, and they've already begun signing multiple billion-dollar deals with different utility companies to provide the energy they need for these for these power centers. So last year, the prices of uranium oxide hit their highest in over 16 years, and that's pretty darn cool. Of course, Canada has a lot of uranium in Saskatchewan. So global uranium itself, it's basically three big countries provide 2/3 of the entire global output of uranium, and that is Kazakhstan, Canada, and Australia. So you guys are probably familiar with Cameco out of Saskatchewan. Big when it comes to uranium. So wow, not too shabby, not too shabby at all. All right, now just to close the news out on our calendar for this coming week, we've got on Tuesday we've got the CPI coming out. On Thursday we got the PPI, so we can have a gander at our inflation status, and then on Friday we got retail sales. So retail sales are dropping on a Friday, so we'll see those January sales, and we should get a peek at February. Down in the U.S. on Wednesday, we get the Fed interest rate decision. It's going to be interesting. I would have gambled for a pause, but there's a lot going on in the U.S. They might do a cut, a little one. They might, but I would still say a pause. But I think there's a chance. Looking at the earnings calendar for the coming week, we got Couche-Tard, we got Power Corporation of Canada, and we also got Boyd. Down in the U.S., they got companies like Nike, FedEx, and Micron doing their earnings. So there we go, guys. That is the news. The rest of the show is all you guys for sure. Cowboy says, sounds like the WCP dividend will stay monthly. I think so. I don't see any. I see positivity for Whitecap for sure. Michael says, I just hope Whitecap maintains its 7% monthly dividend. Yeah, as far as I know, unless there's some kind of reorganization. But if they were to cut the dividend, it's probably for a good reason when it comes to growth. So it could be a good thing overall for the company long term, but I don't think they're going to. I think right now that's a very attractive dividend. And keep in mind, as the company recovers, so as the company grows and their market and their value, their stock price goes up, that dividend actually does go down. So it's not as high, because right now you got to look at it. When a company's at its low, you'll look at that dividend and it will look a lot higher than it kind of is. It looks, and that'll equal itself out as they recover. Rory says, I owned WCB a while back, but never pressed the button to get back in. Yeah. And let's actually go over there. Let's pull it up. That poll that, all right, we're going to go over here. Whitecap Resources. Here we go. They since this dropped, and this was the whole announcement of the merger thing, but whoops, go away ads. Let's just go to the 1 year. You can see normally they're up here around 10. So they did have this drop. They made it all the way down here to, let's see, what was the low? $7.88 at one point. But they're back up to 863. And I do see this as a positive thing for them. So I think they're going to move. I think they're going to move in the right direction. So it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. Oh, you can't. Oh, what's going on? Oh, never mind. I know what it is. When I lost the internet, it closed my window, and I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. It's not sharing. Give me a second. Let me pull this back up. Here we go. There we go. That should bring it back up. What the heck is that? All right, there we go. Okay. There we go. You should see it now, hopefully. Yeah, no, I thought, like, I have it set up, so now that I just have to go to the share window, and it's always set up, but it closed it on me when we lost the internet. So why can't I not? I want to stream with no technical difficulties. None at all. None. All right. Yes, we can see it. Okay, so now you can see it. Woohoo! Okay, let's see. Cowboy says, sounds like there are many countries dropping the F-35 fighters because of Trump's tariff games. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the U.S. is going to lose so much business. And I mean, even there's a speech that's been going around on some of the news networks, one that Ronald Reagan gave back in the day, where he was explaining in the speech why tariffs don't work and how they cost an economy money. Um, yeah, tariffs don't work. And Trump just hasn't figured this out yet. And he keeps, and because of the way Trump is, he doubles down and he will continue doubling down. And the damage to the economy is going to be, it's not going to be, it's going to be good. It's, I mean, not as in good as in a good amount, not good as in, yay, it's great. No, it's not going to be great. It's going to be messy as can be. And now he needs, and he needs somebody who's willing to stand up and say, look, you're making a dumb move. But if you guys remember, back in his first term, anybody who did challenge him, yeah, he was stopped on a lot of his dumb ideas, but most of those people then got the ire of him. Many of them ended up getting fired. I mean, he was firing people a lot back then. Now it's kind of like everybody is just repeating or anything he says. It's like, yes, it's a great idea, no matter how dumb the idea is. So it's not good. He's gonna mess things up for even after he's finally out of office. It's probably going to take a good 10 years to do a lot of the damage. And some of it, gosh, if he keeps gutting everything in the United States government, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Like science right now in the United States is taking a huge hit, a huge, huge hit. Gutting things like NOAA. So, they've been gutting things like NOAA. They've also been gutting the Hurricane Hunter program. So here's this thing. Every year, you got hurricanes coming to the States. And, the reliability of their hurricane forecasts, they may actually be shooting themselves in the foot with that. So we may be going back to the days when it's like, oh, here comes a storm. I wonder if that's a hurricane. Don't know. Nobody seems to know. We don't know. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. I'm going to leave it there. I'm like, oh God, I could go off on a rant, like a really long rant on science, but I'm going to leave it alone. Rory says, I heard the USA ships at one point couldn't refuel at European ports. Oh yeah. The U.S. is they're just not making any friends. They're not making any friends. That's for sure. Okay. Oh, Chad is here. Just lurking. Okay. Let's see. Kenna says, will TRZ benefit from America vacation boycott? That'll be interesting. Maybe. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, people are going to be making a lot more changes to what. Here'll be the big question, though. We are not going to a vacation in America, so the Canadians are pulling back. But will the Americans stop coming to Canada? It's hard to say. Like with our dollar being as low as it is, it's still a very attractive price-wise, vacation spot. So we could, at least in terms of vacations, we could end up with the best of both worlds. But that means if you are going to vacation in Canada, you may want to book things early. You may really want to book things early just because it could become a bit of an issue. Chad says, but Saskatchewan's still cheaper than the average, can still buy a house here for $50K. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you take somebody who is as cheap as Saskatchewan and you knock it up 10%, it's still well below market average for the rest of the country. So yeah, absolutely. Saskatchewan is still probably one of the cheapest, and Quebec as well. Quebec is still fairly cheap. And Manitoba, I would say Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Quebec will probably be the three cheapest places. Wayne says Trump should have been informed of the famous Smoot Hartley Tariff Act of 1930. It deepened the depression in the U.S. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, as soon as Trump said tariff is the most beautiful word in the English language, somebody should have slapped him right then and there and said, no, no, it's not. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I think as the market, if the market really starts tanking and the U.S. starts to move into a depression, maybe that'll be enough of a signal for Trump to try to find a way to manufacture a win. I'd be okay. It's like, here, let's give him a little trophy saying you won. Now let's end this craziness. That I'd be okay with that. Yeah, so rural areas, definitely. Let's see. He's true dope with crappy hair. Yeah. There we go. King of Day says, doesn't Trump have some advisors that are supposed to advise him, or he just doesn't listen to them, or they are doing a very bad job? The problem is all of his advisors are like yes men. So they're like the type that no matter what his idea, they're going to say, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So yeah, he has filled the house with people who are all on the same page, or just completely willing to, accept whatever he says. And that there's got to be some common sense in there. But right now, and I also think people are afraid of him. He's a dominating kind of guy, and if you disagree with him, he'll threaten you. He might even brand you a criminal at this point. So it's not a great situation there at all. And I don't see a good ending. I do not see a good ending yet. And I usually am always looking for the good ending in things. In this case here, I don't see it. Wayne says, just watched an interview. Musk gutted NOAA so that he could replace it with Starlink. Justice Department now involved. Yeah, and I had also heard that when he was looking at, he wanted to replace a lot of the air traffic controllers with not so much with Starlink, but with Tesla, with SpaceX, not Tesla per se, but yeah. Musk is doing a lot of the stuff Musk is doing is 100% to make money for his own companies. And that technically should be criminal. That should be criminal. He should not be allowed to be able to do that. He shouldn't have the power to be able to do that. It's kind of like it has to be isolated. You can't you can't be using personal gain. And he is using that for sure. Jennifer says, steel and aluminum can still survive with a 25% tariff and a lower dollar. Yeah, they can. They can. But you are going to run into some price increases. One of the issues, and this is kind of an issue in Canada, is, and I was mentioning this, I think, on the last live stream. If you have, let's say you have a beer company, and we have the aluminum to make the cans, but we don't have the processing. So a lot of that aluminum that we have, we're going to have to send it to the States. So there's going to be there'll be tariff on that aluminum that's getting imported to the States. And then the companies down there that produce, for example, cylinders that are used for the cans, well, they'll then have to export those back to the beer company. Let's say if it's a beer company, and there's going to be tariffs on that as well. So you're going to get double hit going both directions. And at that point, then they make their can, but now they've paid a lot more for that can. So the company has two options. One, they can absorb that cost and just take it out of their profits. But we're talking companies. Most companies don't do that. Most companies will then pass that on to the consumer. So then if you buy that, that beer, whether it be Moosehead or Labatt's or whatever it is, you might be looking at a little bit of a hike in the price to sort of compensate. That's kind of the way that's going to work. So we will see that price increases. We'll get used to it. I mean, Obviously, it'll be a new normal, right? We're kind of used to that after the pandemic. We've been learning lots of new normals when it comes to pricing and things like that. So what can we say? What can we say? Let's see. Uninvited says Saskatchewan is good if you like staring at wheat all day. It's pretty flat. It's pretty flat for the most part. Yeah, yeah. And that's one of the downsides is, and you can see this in the prairies. You can even see it if you ever go to Lethbridge in Alberta. You can see it there as well. There's just nothing to stop the wind, so the wind is pretty darn strong and blows quite a bit. I know the first time I went to Lethbridge, somebody warned me that it was windy there. I got there and I was just shocked at how much wind there was there. Now, with Lethbridge, though, now I think Lethbridge might even be worse than the prairies because part of it is I think one of the passes in the mountains almost funnels the wind straight at Lethbridge. So it's almost like it never, it probably stops, but it probably feels like if you live there that it doesn't, but oh boy. Let's see. Chat says mean canola. Let's see. Rory says you could watch our dog run from Regina to Swift Current. There we go. Wayne says I suggested to some of my U.S. friends that Musk is a CSIS plant since he is a Canadian. A couple of them are convinced. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I think technically, I think Elon was born in South Africa, so technically he's a South African. If you go with that technicality, Cowboy says our latest prime idiot isn't going to work on any of these tariffs. The Chinese are killing the grain markets we had for years, and once you lose those markets, I doubt you will ever recover them. Yeah. China is sitting back, and this is where Doug Ford brings this up all the time, that China is sitting back loving what's going on in North America. They're sitting back and they're like, how can we monopolize on this with the rest of the world? Yeah, they're absolutely loving it. Terry says Voice of America Radio. Nice. I'm trying to think who that is. I've heard that before. But what can I say? His mother was born in Saskatchewan. Oh, okay. So he's got some Canadian blood in him then. So there we go. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, I look at it this way, like, I was born in Canada. My parents are Canadian, but if they had been over in Maine and I'd been born there, I don't think I would have felt like I was an American. I mean, as far as I was concerned, I'd still be a true blue Canadian, true red Canadian, red and white, something like that. Regina. Let's see. Elon spent time here in Regina. Oh yeah. Good old Elon. All right, guys, we're slowly getting there. If you got your last minute questions, start rolling them in. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean that we're out of here. It just means that it's time for the last minute questions. Gotta love the coffee. Got to love the coffee. Coming up on Tuesday, the video that we're dropping on Tuesday, we are going to actually look at all equity ETFs. So we talk a lot on this channel about XEQT, but there's a bunch of other ones. So we're actually going to look at 5 all equity ETFs, and we're going to see if XEQT is indeed the best. It might be. We'll have to see. I already know the answer because I've already done the research. But we're going to see. Let's see. Where do you see WTI going this week? If we have a calm week, and Trump doesn't create any more craziness. Actually, I think there's a chance. It could actually look, it could be green. I don't see it moving I don't see it going up a lot or going down a lot. One of the things I think we're still waiting on is that whole ceasefire in Ukraine. I know that Russia said that they're okay, they're open to it, but they have conditions. So we have to sort of see what is going to happen with those conditions. But right now, it's one of those things. Oil is one of the more harder areas to predict because there's so many different there's so many different geopolitical factors that pile into oil. But right now, if things stay the same, I think oil could have a half decent week, a green week. So that would be nice. Ferris, what do you think about April 2nd? Oh boy. Well, here's the interesting thing. As if I think we'll see. I definitely think on April 2nd we're going to see a red day. I think we'll see a red, at least for the very beginning of the day. We'll definitely see some red, and there might be some buy the dip opportunities. I will certainly be looking. I will be prepared to buy April 2nd for sure. Now, I think as we get to the buildup and as we figure out what these reciprocal tariffs are going to look like, I know he said that, we can expect in Canada, we're probably going to get some dairy tariffs. We're probably going to get something else because of the whole digital service tax. He wants to hit us on that level too. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get things across the board or how it's going to look. It could get very, very, very messy. So that's I'm gonna hold it at that for now. But I think it's going to be an interesting day for sure. Chad says, speaking of Elon, had my X account suspended today. So long for his free speech. What a clown. Okay. Did they actually? What did you do to get your account suspended? I thought it was like a free for all on X. Cowboy, are you going to do a BK Bank showdown? No, I'm not going to do a showdown of the two. It would be nice, but I have scripted my bank video. So the bank video, I am planning to film it tomorrow morning. So I'll be filming bank tomorrow morning. Then I have to get it off to Evolve, and then they'll probably want me to film at least. Oh, there'll probably be at least one, couple small little refilms or reshoots that I have to do in a couple little areas. But that one's going to drop. If we're lucky, we'll see it by the end of the month. I just know when you're working with a company or an ETF company, it goes through their lawyers and team and their, I will give you an example. The last video, the EBIT one, at one point, they asked me to do something. So I did it. And then I resubmitted it to them and they asked me to undo it. That's like, what? So when, I was just like, are we ever going to get through the process? But now I got a good idea what they want. So I think the last one, I probably had about 4 or 5 back and forths with them, with a bunch of reshooting. And it's actually funny. If you watch the EBIT video, so look at the background behind me. You see how at the corner of the background, you can see like where the picture of the cat is. You can see the corner. You can see I've got I got my octagons or my hexagons, going through that corner. If you look at that video in the EBIT, most of the video, I don't have that done yet. But on the reshoot parts, you'll all of a sudden notice the corner has the hexagon. So you can actually tell what parts were reshot. Most of them were in the data section going through like the surface. I think the surface data part, I think I reshot that about 4 times. So now part of it is just, they wanted it done this way and I did it. And then they wanted me to update the data because they had updated their data. So I did that. And anyway, it was fun. It was fun. So anyway, yeah, on that EBIT video, definitely you can see that. It's fun. And the funny thing is I had to, I tried to minimize continuity when I was doing reshoots. So I wore the same shirt, but so yeah, whatever shirt I wear tomorrow, I'll probably have to wear it a couple of times in reshoots if there's reshoots. But I'm hoping this time there's maybe one reshoot. I'm expecting one. But I'd like to have only one reshoot, and then I'll be happy. Wayne says, crude looks to be bouncing between 67.48 and 66.39. I trade the futures. The majority of traders are short according to the COT report. Okay, so there we go. A lot of people are expecting it to go down. So maybe we'll go down. Maybe it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I like the idea though of flat. I don't see it going up a lot or down a lot if it goes either way, but I could be completely wrong. And that's the thing with oil. Like I said, unless you got a good idea on every geopolitical event happening on the planet at once, any one of them could certainly impact the price of oil big time. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Okay, let's pull this back up here. There was, oh yeah, let's see here. I'm going to head over here. I want to head over to Blossom here for a second. I don't know if they got anything else fixed here on the Blossom, but this here is the desktop app for Blossom. So I'm pretty excited about it. I know there's somebody else who wants me to do a review. They wants me to do a review for them, like their portfolio review, and I will be doing that once I have, basically once I can pull it up on here. I'm just sort of waiting on that. But I don't think this part's work. Yeah, most of this stuff is still not working. It's still in beta, but they are supposed to, by the end of this month, have this all functional. So right now with Blossom, I can still see all of this. I can see, for example, I can see all of this stuff. Now, I think, let me just take a look in here. I don't know if any of you guys are in here or not. You should be, because this here is, these are the people I follow, because I always follow people. If you guys follow me, I will follow you right back, because, I'm just trying to see if I can see any of you guys at all. It would be good if I could, because then we could just pull you up. Yeah, I don't see any of you guys. I don't see any of you. Oh, here's Harvey Specter. Oh, let's look at Harvey Specter. Why not? You're not, I think there's actually a rule over here that you're not supposed to have an impersonation account. So obviously this person's real name is not Harvey Specter, because that's the lawyer guy from Suits. But can I? Yeah, I can see their portfolio this way. I just can't search. That's the thing. I can search Blossom, but I don't think, oh, maybe I can. Maybe I can search now. Do any of you have, I think I follow you. I think I do follow most of you. If you followed me, then for sure. Anybody who doesn't mind me looking at their profile, if you have a username for Blossom, just throw it in the chat right now. And I want to see if I can I just want to see if I can look you up. That's all I want to see at the moment. Obviously I can look up, Harvey Specter, but then I can see if that works. Let me just take a look here. Rory says Eric Nuttall is pro-long on oil gas, but he always is. Yeah, there we go. Also, can you do the 0 to 100K monthly again? Oh, you guys, I mean, I can. You know what? I'll do a vote. I'll do a vote because, the community voted to go to a reduced amount, but I can put the vote up again. And we'll see. We'll take a look. Maybe. Lisa says, I think you follow me. Yeah, I probably do. Anybody have a username over here? I don't. Let's see. Lisa M. All right, let's try this. I'm going to try this. Lisa M. Come on. Let's see here. Oh, here we are. Bulldog. Ha ha ha. And I follow. Yeah. All right. So this here is Working Bulldogs. This is Lisa right here. And you guys can see. Look at this. Oh, let's pull this up. These are Lisa stocks. Okay, let me just wait a minute before I go any further. Lisa, are you okay with me looking at this on the air? I just want to make sure. I don't want to throw anything at your. I don't want to say anything about your stocks if you're not if you're not on board with that, because that would be wrong. That would be wrong. All right, there we go. We got the go ahead. And Muggsy's there as well. Awesome. All right, so this here is I can do this now. So this here is Lisa stocks. Now you can see, I can't see, like you can't see how much anybody has. So when you hook up your profile up to Blossom, all we get is we just get the percentage. So this here gives us our percentage. So for example, right now, Lisa's biggest position is VFV. So that, of course, being the Vanguard S&P 500. That to me is perfect. This is a really good ETF. So yeah, I love this ETF. I love it. So that's great. 12.9%. I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with that. That's not over leveraged at all. Now we can see the second biggest position, Adoro Clean Technologies. Then we got Amazon and we got Google. We got Berkshire Hathaway. Love it. Love it. So, there's Sia. So Sienna Senior Living. I love both. I mean, I love both Sia as well as Extendicare EXE. So we got TD, we got National Bank. So we got some banks in here. We got Enbridge and Fortis. Oh, love Fortis. So this is really good here. So between Fortis and Enbridge, they should have some strong growth through, of course, the, if we have a coming recession, they're going to do well, as well as Metro. And I think Alimentation Couche-Tard, they should do well. But as I said, if this 7-Eleven thing goes through and they have to, they have to dilute their stocks to pay for it, we could see a drop in Alimentation Couche-Tard. So something just to keep in mind. I think on the long end, they're going to be fine. And Lisa is like 54. So because Lisa's 54, she's got some time. On a 10-year scale, Alimentation Couche-Tard will be in a fantastic place. No doubt. All right, we got BNS. Oh, we got CNR. I love CNR. Hershey. Interesting. And Pepsi. All right, we got a REIT in here. We got TELUS and Bell. Okay, not bad. All right, a couple of things I really love. I love that there's not a lot of over diversification. Like right now, this is good. I like this. So the having the VFE, having that as your kind of big chunk, that to me, that's great. This is kind of like it is the US, it's the US economy, but it's like the blue chip. It's like I always talk about those hold forever foundation blue chip stocks. That's kind of what the VFV has. So this is got really solid exposure right here. And then of course we got a little bit of tech in here. Now Berkshire they're almost like an ETF, really, because they are, they're a company that invests in a lot of other companies. And that's, once again, more solid blue chip exposure. Sienna is one of them companies I think that's going to do really well because we got an aging population. As more of those baby boomers retire, companies like Sia and EXE, I think they're going to do absolutely fantastic. I love it completely. And then we got some banks. So I know we got TD, we got National. I saw Scotiabank down here. Once again, the banking sector in Canada is strong. And sometimes people will have different opinions about the Canadian banking sector, but it's actually a very, very strong. It's very rare for a Canadian bank to actually go out of business. And to be honest, I think the banks are going to be fine. Like with the wave of mortgage renewals that have been coming, the banks have done really well so far. And they are adjusting things on the fly. So they're not just looking at mortgage renewals. They're also looking at any impacts from the tariffs. So I think those are good. And you guys already know, I love everything from, Metro is food. That's recession proof. And then, ATD, love them. CNR, one of my favorite stocks. Love it. I love this. Absolutely. In fact, and I would even say in a case like this, we've only got a 4.2. If CNR keeps going down a little bit more, that might be the time to add more. Might be. Once again, it's your due diligence to determine if that's right. Now, Hershey, yeah, it's popular. People love their chocolate. The only concern I would have with Hershey right now is if we continue, like a lot of the chocolate A lot of the chocolate, where it comes from, a lot of the plants, the cocoa plants, apparently there's a little bit of an issue there. So chocolate could be an area of concern in the future. I don't think it's there yet, but it could be. It's something to watch for sure. Pepsi, yeah, Pepsi or Coke, I think are pretty much solid, and I love and have a good read. So yeah, this is not a bad portfolio at all. So anyway, this, and we're not doing a full, like, if I had been planning to do this, I probably would have looked at this a little bit ahead of time. This is more of a, it's here, let's pull it up, let's take a look. So yeah, and like I said, so for guys with Blossom, there's a link down below. If you want me to pull yours up on the air, go through it, look at it. We're fully ready to go now. We're fully ready to go because I can search on names. I couldn't do that even a week ago. I couldn't search on a name. So yeah, let's start doing these. We'll do these every. I'd love to have at least one, maybe even two. We can do them on the weekend. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So yeah. So if you want me to look at your portfolio and sort of go over it on the air, all you got to do is head over to Blossom, download the app. The link is below. Hook up your portfolio, and then send me a message. Like, follow me and then message me on Blossom, and I will, or you can message me anywhere. I don't care. But I mean, on Blossom, it makes it a lot easier. That way, there I can then bring you up, and we can go over it for sure. And what I can also do is, if you do want me to go over your portfolio, but let's say you're not going to be here on a particular Sunday, just talk to me on Blossom. That way there, I do it on a Sunday where you can be there, because, it's nice if you're here when I go over it. All right. Anyway, yeah, that was Lisa's portfolio. Nice portfolio. I like it. I like it a lot. It's well balanced. That's big takeaways for me. It's well balanced. I think it's got a pretty good conservative group in the bottom. It's definitely, for somebody who is 54, I think it's a great place to be. It shows that she is building more of a dividend growth approach, and that's great. That's great. Like, at this point in time, you don't need to be all heavy with the income stocks. This here is going to grow nicely. And by the time Lisa's ready to retire, and if she wants to create an income portfolio at that point, I think she's going to have a lot to work with. So nothing wrong with that at all. All right. Oh, little itch there. Chad says, Trump crashing the economy on purpose to get Powell to lower interest rates because the USA can't afford their minimum payment. Yeah, I mean, Trump did say when in his inauguration speech, he said, "I want the Fed to lower the rates immediately." So maybe I will put you, no matter what rationale you give me for what Trump is doing at this point in time, I'm willing to listen to all of them. I think it's fine. All right, and we had a chance to look. Let's see, logic behind his plan. Yeah, for context, I'm 54 and recently retired, but collecting a DB pension. Don't plan on drawing from my income anytime soon. Okay, nice. And Mighty likes your portfolio for sure. Let's see. I plan to make VFV a bigger portion of my portfolio. Just waiting for my retirement incentive to show up in my brokerage account. Nice. Now, keep in mind too, if the economy and we go into a recession, VFV should come down, and that'll be a nice place to dollar cost average into it. Terry says, this is an awesome segment. I like it. I love it. Absolutely. Well, Terry, make sure you signed up on Blossom, and make sure you get you message me, and maybe we'll do yours next week. There we go. See, XEQT will be added to my portfolio this week. I hope. I love XEQT. It is a very good, well, I mean, guys, let's head on over. All right, we're going to leave Lisa, and we're going to go to XEQT. Whoops, that's not XEQT. That there. All right, XEQT. Here we go. All right, and I'm going to come out. Let's come out to the 1 year. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is, it follows the world markets because, basically they hold a bunch of iShares ETFs so that they could get exposure to the U.S. markets, the Canadian market, the they got the Australian market in there. They've got the European, the Asian. They got emerging markets. You got a little bit of everything. The only thing you really don't have with this is they don't have any bonds, or any real fixed income type stuff. It's all equity, right? That means it's all stocks. But yeah, it's just a fantastic. It will follow what the market does. And right now the market had a little bit of a hiccup. So did it. But and you can even, like, if we go back, let's go back to the 5 years. Actually, we'll go to the 10-year. I have to go to the 10-year now to see the pandemic. Has it been that long? You can see they began just before the pandemic. But here's the pandemic right here. And you could see this is the economy, right? You can see here's the bull market after the pandemic. There's the bear market. And then here is the recovery from the bear market. And then we went into a full-on bull market. And, now we're up here and, we're going to head probably into another bear market later in the year. We might get a bit more movement up if things stabilize, but it's hard to say with Trump. It's really hard to say with Trump. But yeah, you can see. And that's what it's going to do. So when the market comes down, oh boy, this is one of those funds that I definitely want to be dollar cost averaging into in the bear market. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. I will definitely be adding more CNR. I want to add more Google, Amazon, and BRK, but the currency exchange worries me. Yeah, and that's the thing. Those are the ones to add when it's a little bit better on the currency side. All right. Well, you're welcome. I enjoyed that. I loved it. I was like, woohoo. Rory says, I'd add CP, but its distribution is pretty small. It is, but, it's not, you're not really getting into CP for the dividends, right? It's the growth. It's the overall dividend growth. You put all of that together. I think CP has a lot of potential. Like, I still love CNR better, but I think in the midterm, the short and midterm, CP does have a bit more potential at this point. Yeah, no, I'm loving that segment too, right? So I'm like, let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing it for sure. I've been wanting to do that more. All right. Chad says posting USA should be the third territory of Canada because there's not great enough to be a province with Trump wearing a suit made from the Canadian flag and a map of the US as well. Do you think the US will hit by recession? If Trump keeps on doing what he's doing right now, I have no doubt the US will get a recession. We could see a U.S. recession by the end of the year. I think we'll see a Canadian one by perhaps the fall. So unless things change, it's not too late to fix things, but he's not moving in that direction at all. All right, let's see. The state's already in a recession. They're just lying about it the same as Canada. All right, there we go. See, Chad thinks we're already both in a recession. And sometimes it feels like it. It sure does. I'll give you that, Chad. Let's see. Muggsy says 62, retired at 60, trying to make an income portfolio. Definitely made mistakes along the way. All right. You know what? Just a second here. Let me grab Muggsy's. He dropped his. Let's take a look. I said that we could do two a show. Why not? All right. I'm scrolling back through the thing. All right, there we go. Oh, cash in. I see it. All right, let's head over. We already have it up. All right, let's go. All right, let's try this. Cash in. Here we go. Whoops. Let's put an H in there. There we go. All right, investors. Here we go. There's Muggsy right here. And you see, I'm following. So let's take a look here. All right. And so we got 23 in the portfolio. Let's take a look and see what we got here. All right. So, oh boy, we got a lot of income stocks in here. Let's see. We got Kraken Robotics. We got MSTE. Let's see. Oh, there's the Round Hill one. HHIS, MSTY, Lightspeed. Let's see, QQCL, MSTY. We got both MSTYs, the Yield Max as well as the Harvest. Let's see, Covalon Technologies, Global Dividend, HODL, So HODL, yeah, they're interesting. They're interesting. They had some interesting moves. Actually, I just want to pull HODL up here for a second. All right, here we are. Soul Strategies. All right. Whoops. Come on, guys. There we go. Yeah. So one of the issues I think with HODL is a lot of people, when this big pump happened, so many people bought in up in here. So many people. And those people now are probably regretting getting into HODL. But I think HODL, I think they have some potential. I do think they have some potential for sure. But right now, a lot of these ones like this, I always say temper your expectations. To me, HODL still a little bit on the, it's still a little bit close to that. Like it was a penny stock not that long ago, like 18 cents. So there's only so much room it can grow before you do get a bit of a correction. And that's kind of what we've been seeing with HODL. But anyway, let's get back here. I just off on a second here. So here's, okay, we got HYLD. We got, there's your cash position right there. We got Baytex, we got Hive, we got RMAX. I still love RMAX. They haven't done what I wanted it to yet, but I'm holding in there. XEG, so that's good energy. I do love XEG. Let's see, XEI, any XE, where's cans? BYFM. Oh, cans. Oh boy. Cans is one of these other companies that, let's pull cans up. This is worth looking at. Cans, some people thought cans was going to do some incredible things. And some people really, oh boy, I'm going to go back to the 5-year. Some people had a lot of expectation for cans. And at least one YouTuber, I think, was promoting them pretty heavily. They never lived up to that expectation. I mean, look at this. At this point, you can sort of see they were worth $1.21, but they're not even worth a penny now. They're worth 0.005. I don't foresee them recovering. I really don't. They have been kind of we don't even have data. Apparently they have a 500,000 market cap, but I don't think there's anything in here. I have a feeling we're not going to see much. Oh yeah, we have a return on, oh, look at this. Return on assets. Come on. Sorry, my scroll mouse is doing things. Minus 71.32%. Oh my God. Yeah. I hope. Now, this is the thing. Like, I can't tell how much that Muggsy is into cans. That I can't say. I have a feeling, though, if anything, Muggsy's holding cans is more of a sentimental thing. It's just a sentimental thing. I don't think it'll ever, gets back down here. I don't think it's ever going to get anywhere. So kind of one of those things. And that's where, and you know what? And somebody actually pointed this out. Like when I did my first sponsored video for Evolve, they're like, oh, it's a sponsored. I can't take anything you're saying seriously in this one. Sorry. And I'm like, that's fine. That's absolutely fair. And I always will say that if a video is sponsored, and it doesn't matter if it's me or if it's Harvey Hump Scruncher down the road. Oh, I think I can hear the rain. It's starting. You got to take that. You always have to take into consideration that they're being sponsored. So I always say, like, if you have let's say you have your regular level of due diligence that you do, the second you see it's a sponsored video, double your due diligence, right? And don't take anything at face value. I can tell you guys that, I'm not going to be sponsored by somebody who I don't believe in. But a lot of people, there's a lot of YouTubers that, if somebody's going to pay them, they'll say whatever that company tells them to say. And by me saying that, I have to say that you can't take me seriously if I'm being sponsored, because you shouldn't take anybody seriously if they're being sponsored. You have to go in with a very open mind, do your due diligence on those ones, big time, really, really big time. And just because I say that, I'm only going to take sponsorships of people that I'm willing to stand behind. Just keep in mind, not everybody is like that. And you kind of have to just sort of paint everybody with the same brush in this case. With that, a little bit of healthy skepticism, do the due diligence, all of that fun stuff. All right. But yeah, I do see we got a lot of stuff in here. Now, having a lot of stuff is good in some ways. I see this as a lot of stock. So I'm just kind of curious here about. All right, so you said that you're trying to go into more of an income related. Now, here's the thing too. Now, this is one thing it does not tell me is, are these all of these stocks? Is this just your TFSA, or are we also looking at your RRSP? Because I know that there's something like this one here, like QDTE. Let's pull this up here. I believe they have a significant. QDTE Round Hill. Oh, did I probably messed that up. Let's see here. QDTE. Yeah, I do. It's just not showing up here. Let's try it this way. Yeah, it's not for some reason, and it's a US thing, but I do believe it has a significant dividend. So the point I was getting at with that is that that's not a stock that you may want in your TFSA because you may be losing 15% of that dividend to or actually here we'll use this as well. We'll go with this one here. Let's go with Misty, but we'll actually go with the Yield Max one. So when you look at this one here, you've got this crazy distribution yield of like 159.103%. It's a big dividend. But, if you are holding a significant amount and you're, each one of them is getting 1.37, so $1.37.7 USD per share, you could be losing 15% of that if it's in your TFSA. And in your TFSA, you have no way of getting that back. It's just gone. It's because, the US doesn't see it as a registered account. Now, if you were holding that out in a regular cash account, you could apply for a tax, a foreign tax credit. You might get some of that back. In your RRSP, though, nothing gets taken away. It goes in because they do recognize that as a registered account. So it goes in. It goes in fully. So definitely something to think about. But all right. Oh boy. Oh, there's my whiteboard. All right, let's get back here to Blossom here for a second. So yeah, I do see we got a few, here's the new Harvest, HHIS. I like that. One of the interesting things too here is, if Bitcoin is doing really well, in MicroStrategy. So yeah, the MSTY, I know that, I just want to pull something up here for a second. I want to go to the other end. I want to go to the Harvest one. Because I do know that MicroStrategy started to recover a bit here. And well, look at this. Yeah, the last day, this one here was up, 11.42%. So that's not too shabby. I'm just going to pull this up here because you can see initially we, Bitcoin retraced, but now it is starting to come back up. So yeah, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Whoops, why do I keep going to that one? I'm just going to, I'm going to drag this one and put it right next to it. There we go. Makes it a little bit easier to get back and forth. There's good old Lightspeed. Yeah, so, I've noticed here that, you've got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but for the most part, this here really is not going to be an income stock, but I do love XCG, and that will give you a little bit of room in there as well. Probably, I'm just taking a look here. One area that I don't see a lot of exposure here, I don't see a lot of utility exposure. So that might be something as well. Like there are some pretty darn good income stocks. Like, for example, now, I think we were looking at this the other day, and I'm pretty sure that their dividend is really messed up here. Yeah, so it says 5.8%, but it's actually closer to like what, 17 or so. So this might be another one, especially with utilities looking to be strong. So when it comes to overall income, you have to look at a couple of things. So I noticed as well, we have HY. Let's pull this back here. We got like HYLD in here. So that one's going to be fine. But I will point out HYLD does have some leverage. So when it goes down, the value is going to go down a little bit because it will fall 25% faster. But when it goes up, it'll go up 25% faster. The big thing that you'll lose with something like that is you're going to lose some of that capped potential. But it really boils down to what the goal is for your thing. If you're trying to just produce income, then that may not be as much of a problem. And keep in mind, too, as you're adding, just give me a second. Let's pull up HYLD's chart here for a moment. As you're adding to it, come on, mouse wheel, stop misbehaving. All right, I'm going to come up to the 5 here. So as you can see, initially when HYLD was released, it had a nice big jump. But then we went into, we were in a bear market. So it fell pretty hard. And you'll notice it did not, in our bear market, or sorry, our bull market, we never got back. We never got back to up here. And that's fine because you're going to have, because it writes covered calls, you're going to lose some of that. You're going to lose a lot of the upside potential. So that's why it doesn't get all the way up. But you're being compensated well with your dividends. So it's much closer. It's probably closer to about here if you actually calculate all of the dividends, especially if you reinvest the dividends. So that's fine. That is fine. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. Now, here's the beautiful part. Now, if you bought up here, yeah, of course, it's going to appear red in your portfolio. Even if you put in all of the dividends, you may not fully be back up. But with something like this, as your dollar cost averaging in the bear market, I mean, imagine if you've been buying along here, your adjusted cost base is coming down, and you'll get back in the green, no problem. Plus, you are adding a whole bunch of dividends. Now, one of the things I do love about this is it kind of gives us a general idea of, and I'll show you guys. Let's go over here to, we're going to go to our key data, and I'm going to come right to the end here. It gives us an idea of what can happen with some of the dividends. So when this first was released, it was released with a 13.8-cent dividend, which was huge. And then they actually did increase it initially, even though they were going into the bear market. Now, mind you, sometimes with a little bit of movement down, covered calls can do really well with that volatility. But they did get to a point where after about a year, they ended up cutting because things got a little bad. So they cut it down to 12. Still very, very respectable. But what I like about this is, after cutting it, as soon as things began to move back into a bull market, they started going back up again. They got back to that 13.8 that they started at. Then they went higher. So now look at this, they're all the way up to 1.45. So they will go down again. There is that possibility. They did it before. They probably will do it again, but that's one of these things to keep in mind. So I always like to have a general idea. Like if an ETF has been around long enough and it's been through a couple of bear markets or even a bear market, you can at least look back and take a look at the dividend history and see what has happened. And keep in mind that that's probably going to happen again. So just something to keep in mind. All right. But anyway, overall, let's get back here. I mean, overall, not a bad start here. There's a lot of companies in here. Cans. I mean, if you've pretty much at zero with cans, I would probably just get rid of them. But I honestly don't think they're gonna do anything. Yeah, and even then, up here, yeah, this is your enhanced Kraken. That's for your your tech. So yeah, you've got a little bit, you got a mixture of stuff going on here, but you know, it's a good start. You got a lot of good, you got a lot of good funds in here. I do like that. All right, let's pull this up. I wasn't actually prepared to be doing this today, but we did. We did. All right. Muddy says, let's see, we all make mistakes. I haven't met an investor who hasn't made an error or two. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Making mistake. If you don't make a mistake, you're not actually going to learn anything, right? You need to learn. That's the whole idea. I always say it this way. I love mistakes. I love mistakes. I just heard Jill swearing downstairs. I'm like, oh, she must have went outside. Cowboy says, I'm of the opinion Canada has a temporary foreign worker in charge of the Liberal Party. Does Mr. Carnage have a Canadian address? Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Rory says should be delisted. And the cans. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where they're going. I wouldn't be surprised. Fair says, is it worth holding Tesla? Yeah. Tesla is such a... I've said in the past that it's one of these companies that always finds a way to come back. But dear gosh, with everything going on right now, I don't know if I just don't know if I would take the chance with Tesla. I'd be leery. Honestly, I would be leery. Now, if you're holding something like, if you're holding, I was going to say one of the covered call ones, there might be some options. There might be, you're going to get some income, but I don't know. Tesla's, I feel like Tesla's very risky at this moment. All right. Terry says sponsored videos are a kiss of death for me and more reason to do Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, there we are. There we are. It's like, oh, sponsored video. I'm going to go be the dungeon master instead. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those things. The only thing I usually will say, and this is what I do, if I have a creator that I like and they do a sponsored video, I might just watch it just to give them the the view, but that's about it. Unless they're being sponsored by a company that I like. I mean, but I do take it. I always like to do my own research anyway, so it doesn't really affect it that much for me per se. All right. Let's see. Thanks, Muddy Waters. All right. Yeah. Whew, guys. It's been another great stream. We've been at it for a couple of hours. We even had a power failure. Well, not a power failure. We had an internet went out for a second, but hopefully the power doesn't go out. I'm kind of liking the idea of light. So, and plan to watch a little bit of TV tonight. Unfortunately, though, the stream went past 2 hours, so it's not going to generate a short for me. But I'll probably try to pull one out myself manually, maybe. It's hard to say. We may not have a short tonight. It's hard to say. For those, and most of you probably don't care about the shorts anyway, because if you're watching this, why would you want to watch a short that comes out of this? Like, I wouldn't. All right. In the meantime, guys, we will be back, of course, on Wednesday. We got the market close. And we have the all equity video that will be dropping on Tuesday. If you're a channel member, you can watch that on Monday. So tomorrow afternoon. All right, guys. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And if you're in Ontario, enjoy your rain. It's definitely coming down pretty heavy out there right now. Anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be back here with you guys on a Wednesday.